In the beginning, there was Bitcoin, the world's very first peer-to-peer electronic cash system, a network of wallets, nodes, miners, and the blockchain that allowed anyone to send any amount of money to anywhere in the world instantaneously for basically free without having to get permission from any governments or any banks. Merchants loved Bitcoin because they could receive payments without having to pay fees to banks and credit card companies. It was the ultimate form of money, and it began to receive worldwide retail adoption. But then the blocks began to fill, leading to an increase in transaction times and a decrease in transaction speeds. This problem got so bad that retail adoption eventually came grinding to a halt, with many merchants abandoning Bitcoin altogether. Fortunately, the inventor of Bitcoin, Satoshi Nakamoto, had already come up with a solution to this problem. Before leaving the space, he recommended that when the blocks began to fill, the block size parameters were to be increased. But whenever a group of miners started signaling for an increased block size, the privately funded company that had taken control of Bitcoin development, Blockstream, announced that they no longer shared Satoshi Nakamoto's vision and that they would not support a block size increase. This decision by the core developers eventually caused the network to fork, resulting in two different versions of Bitcoin, Bitcoin Core and Bitcoin Cash. The Bitcoin Cash chain restored the original utility of Bitcoin by following the roadmap laid out by its inventor, Satoshi. On the Bitcoin Cash chain, people can once again send any amount of money in Bitcoin to anywhere in the world instantaneously for basically free without having to get permission from any governments or any banks. The Bitcoin Core chain, however, attempted to fix the scaling emergency through an off-chain scaling solution, SegWit, but this turned out to be a complete failure, with transaction fees and transaction times reaching record highs after its implementation. At the time of this recording, the average Bitcoin transaction on the Bitcoin Core chain costs more than an entire month's income for the average Indian family. Bitcoin's utility as a currency on the Bitcoin Core chain has been completely destroyed. To save face, the developers of Bitcoin Core have announced that Bitcoin is now a store of value and no longer a currency. But most economists agree that this makes no sense. Something cannot serve as a store of value whenever it lacks utility. Besides, no one buys Bitcoin on the Bitcoin Core chain to store the value of their money. They buy it simply because they're trying to make money off of other people who buy in after them, who are trying to make money off of other people who buy in after them. The Bitcoin Core chain has reduced Bitcoin to a Ponzi scheme driven by runaway speculation. But on the Bitcoin Cash chain, Bitcoin does have utility, and we're already beginning to see a re-emergence of Bitcoin adoption amongst retailers on the Bitcoin Cash chain. Bitcoin Cash has picked up where Bitcoin Core left off 1 year ago. If you could go back a year and buy Bitcoin, would you? With Bitcoin Cash, you now have that opportunity.